Good morning, LinkedIn family. It's time for yet another Coffee with Bob, and I am very pleased to welcome back Dov Pollack. The reason I say welcome back because our first interview didn't go as well because the recording got all messed up. So Dov was very gracious and understanding and accepted my invite to come back again. So we're re-going at this, and I know it's going to turn out really well. I say this all the time, one connection can change a life. Dov is one of those connections that can change a life. His views on executive coaching for leadership are just incredible. I love his posts. I follow him. So I highly recommend you connect, follow, and engage with Dov. Dov, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, we had a good conversation the first time, so I'm hoping we can recreate that magic.
Exactly. It'll be kind of like in college if your paper ever got, eaten by the computer at the very end and you were all upset and had to redo it. But when you did, it was better.
Yeah. So last time we talked about, executive leadership and the coaching that you do. And it's something that I think it's so important. Folks think that because they have the title, that they are a good leader. And I would argue that they're not.
Yeah. There's a great quote by an executive coach named Bill Campbell, which says, your title makes you a manager. Your people will decide if you're a leader, and it's up to you to live up to that title.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. It always amazes me that of leaders who think they are leaders when they're really not. They're just delegators.
Right. And what happens a lot is, we've seen this a million times. We're all working and there's one person that's a high performer and they do their job well. And then we decide to promote them to leadership, but they don't have any leadership skills. They don't know how to make people better. They don't know how to create a culture that allows people to grow and become engaged. And it's just a nightmare. And so, not understanding that leadership is an incredibly important value that you need to be practicing every day is a really important skill that everyone needs to realize.
Yeah, leadership is a soft skill, right? Wouldn't you say?
It's absolutely a soft skill, but I would say that leadership creates the culture that makes everything else possible. So just like a gardener has to tend the garden all the time to make it possible for everything to flower, that's what leadership is all about, is tending that garden.
Yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, one of the things that I like to talk about also is this idea that if you're not intentionally building your culture every day as a leader, your culture is going to spring up around you.
Right.
And it won't be what you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. Or in some cases, the leader even starts to kind of buck against the culture that's sprouting up around them because it's not part of his or her vision.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had clients that they come in, maybe it's at this company that was a startup and now they're doing really well and they start hiring somebody else that's worked at a company that's where they want to be, right? $1 billion company that's been working at their scale. And they come in and before they learn what's this culture like, how do these people do it? How have they succeeded to this point? They immediately start coming in with, oh my God, you got to have this. And where's this process? And where's this, procedure? And it creates this whole disconnect until you have all the people just folding their arms, waiting for the leader to leave.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, I've been in those situations where, the leaders at the top above me even were like that. They have their vision, which I get, their vision for the organization, which I get as well too. But what they don't accurately represent is the culture that's sort of building around them and the personalities of the people around them. So what do you tell the leaders like that?
That you have to go in and understand the culture that you're starting in and then work from the inside out. And it's really important as a leader that you develop a culture of coaching, right? And this is where I talk about developing a growth mindset culture. I don't want to work in a place where I'm afraid to admit my opinion. I don't want to work somewhere where I'm afraid that if I say something that I think my boss doesn't like, or whether I know that they're not going to like it and I hold it in. So we spend all of this money hiring people to get all these big brains in the office. What is the point if we won't let them speak?
Yeah.
And that's really what a growth mindset is all about, which is, am I okay making a mistake? There's a great leader that I love, and every quarter he gives a trophy to the person or the team that made the biggest mistake. And that person or team, their responsibility is to explain what they learned.
Right.
Because if what I like to say is very often the job we do most and spend the most time doing at work is something we don't even get paid for, which is making sure we look good.
Yeah.
And if I'm making sure I look good and I make a mistake and I cover it up, then you're going to make the same mistake and we're never going to learn. So can you create that culture where we're like, hey, let's collaborate, let's learn, let's have a free flow of ideas?
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a young woman who works on my team. And I constantly tell her, I said, my goal is to have you replace me. Right. And,
right.
And all the time she's like, oh no, I never want to see you go. I never want you, you shouldn't. The things that they're supposed to do. Right. Because they're, they don't want to get their bosses out of a job. But to me, that's part of being a servant leader, right? Is serving those on your team and others in your organization so that they could rise above you and beyond you and replace you.
Absolutely. It's moving the goalposts, right? It's changing the definition of failure. Failure is not missing a target. Failure is not learning.
Right.
As another colleague of mine says, you either win or you learn. That's where you want to be. And once you get people engaged in that, you're trying to develop them. Exactly. You want to get them from being in a situation they want to be engaged, and then you want them to be fulfilled. So if you can get a culture going from engagement to fulfillment, now you're really cooking with gas. Now everyone's bringing their best ideas. They're excited to come to work. They're excited to share. They're excited to tackle problems. That's the kind of culture you're looking to build as a leader of an organization.
Right. Yeah. And I've found though that depending on the organization, that's very difficult to do.
Yes, it is. It is. Cultures start from the top and they descend down. So you show me a leader that doesn't like to be challenged by his people, and I will show you a leader that does not get the best information. I will show you a place that's not innovative. And if you're trying to create an innovative culture, you need to create a safe place for your people to try and fail.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah, absolutely true. So, for those that are looking to up their leadership game, aside from engaging with you as a coach, what would be your one suggestion of something they need to do to step that up?
They need to make sure that they are clear on their vision and that it's communicated. If it's not communicated, it basically doesn't exist, right? So it's one thing to say, oh, I have an open door policy, but how often are you getting out of your office door? How often are you walking around? How often are you engaging? And your one-on-ones, are you the kind of leader who keeps pushing them back?
Mm-hmm.
Right? How many times does your leader have to say, oh, I need to reschedule for you not to realize, oh, I'm not that important, right? And when you're having this, get into what's going on. Ask, the first question should be, what's going on with you? Is it personal or professional? Because if you've got something going on at home and I start immediately going into the spreadsheet, you're not listening.
Right.
So it's a human endeavor, right? I need to meet you where you're at. I need to listen to you, and then I can be heard. Albert Einstein used to say, if I have an hour to save the world, I would spend 55 minutes thinking. And I tell that to my clients all the time. When you go in there, the goal is not to run through and use your one-on-one to give all this information. It's at first to listen.
Right.
Get your people to a place where they can hear, and then you talk. That might be most of the meeting. It might be just the very end.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what you want to do. You want to get them to a place where they are open and honest with you.
Awesome.
That's
advice.
one of the first things.
Awesome advice, Dov. Dov, thank you so much. Again, I truly believe one connection can change a life. Dov is one of those connections. So connect with them, follow him, engage with them. And if you're looking up your leadership game, definitely engage with Dov. He's got some great stuff going on. Dov, again, thank you for joining me again.
Hopefully it worked this time, but I'll always come back. Time?
All right. I thank you again. I appreciate it. You have a great day.
Thanks. It's been a pleasure. Take care.
Take care.